Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hub, and let me ask you something that might just change the way you look at your spare change forever. What if I told you that a simple dime, one that you've probably held in your hands dozens of times, one that looks exactly like every other dime you've ever seen, could be worth $8 million? Yes, you heard that right. $8 million for a coin that most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up off the ground. This isn't some fantasy or clickbait nonsense. This is the absolutely mind-blowing reality of the 1977 one dime. A coin so rare, so incredibly valuable, that finding one would instantly transform your entire life in ways you probably can't even imagine right now. Now I know what you're thinking. How is that even possible? How can a dime, something worth just 10 cents on its face, suddenly become worth millions? Well, stick with me because the story behind this coin is absolutely fascinating, and trust me, you're going to want to hear every single detail. Plus, I've got another incredible coin coming up right after this one that's worth millions as well. And you won't believe the twist behind that one either. So make sure you stay until the very end, because what I'm about to reveal about these coins could literally help you spot a fortune hiding in plain sight. The 1977 one dime, at first glance, appears to be just another regular Roosevelt dime that was minted in the millions that year. Nothing special, nothing remarkable, just another coin that went into circulation alongside countless others. But here's where things get absolutely incredible. There exists a version of this 1977 dime that was struck with such a unique and catastrophic minting error that it has become one of the most sought-after coins in the entire numismatic world, commanding prices that would make even the wealthiest collectors' jaws drop. The key to understanding why this particular dime is worth so much lies in understanding what went wrong at the United States Mint back in 1977. Because you see, the mint is usually incredibly precise, operating with standards that would make Swiss watchmakers jealous, but every once in a while something goes wrong, and when it does, magic happens for coin collectors. The 1977 dime that we're talking about today was struck on what's called a wrong planchet. Now let me explain what that means, because this is absolutely crucial to understanding the value. A planchet is essentially the blank metal disc that gets stamped with the coin's design, and normally, dimes are struck on planchets that weigh exactly 2.268 grams and are made of a copper-nickel clad composition that was standardized after 1965 when silver was removed from circulating dimes. But in this incredibly rare case, a 1977 dime die somehow struck a planchet that was meant for a completely different denomination. We're talking about a 1-cent planchet, or in some even rarer cases, a foreign planchet that somehow made its way into the minting machinery. Can you imagine the chaos that must have ensued when this mistake happened? Picture this: the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia or Denver, operating at full capacity, millions of coins being struck every single day, workers monitoring the massive presses, the rhythmic thunder of metal meeting metal, and then somehow, someway, the wrong blank slips into the system and boom, a dime design gets stamped onto something it was never meant to be stamped on. Now, most of these errors get caught immediately by the Mint's quality control systems, which are incredibly sophisticated and designed to catch even the tiniest imperfections. But every once in a blue moon, one slips through, one makes it past all the inspections, all the checkpoints, and finds its way into circulation, mixed in with millions of normal coins, completely undetected, waiting like a hidden treasure for someone lucky enough to recognize what they've found. The 1977 dime error that's worth up to $8 million is believed to be an example of what collectors call a transitional error or a major wrong planchet strike, possibly involving a planchet composition that creates such a dramatic and obvious difference that when authenticated, it becomes an instant sensation in the numismatic community. Think about the weight difference alone. If a regular dime weighs 2.268 grams but was struck on a penny planchet weighing 3.11 grams, or God forbid, on a different metal composition entirely, the difference would be noticeable to anyone who knew what to look for, but to the average person just trying to buy a candy bar or feed a parking meter, it would just be another dime. And here's something that's going to blow your mind even further. The reason this particular error is worth so much more than other mint errors is because of its rarity combined with its dramatic nature and the demand from collectors who've been searching for decades to add one to their collection. You see, in the world of rare coins, value isn't just about age or precious metal content. It's about rarity, condition, demand, and story, and the 1977 error dime has all four of these elements in spades. Collectors absolutely go crazy for major mint errors, especially wrong planchet errors, because they represent something that should never have existed. They're mistakes that made it into the permanent historical record. They're tangible proof that even the most precise systems in the world can have moments of spectacular failure. Now let me tell you about how these coins actually get discovered, because that's where the real drama comes in. Most major mint errors are found completely by accident by everyday people who just happen to look twice at their change, people who develop the habit of checking their coins before spending them, people who know that fortune favors the observant. Imagine going through a roll of dimes that you got from the bank. Maybe you're a casual coin collector, or maybe you just heard somewhere that you should check your change, and suddenly you notice something off about one of the coins. Maybe it feels slightly heavier or lighter. Maybe the color seems a bit different, maybe the rim looks unusual, and you decide to investigate further. You pull out a scale, you weigh it, and your heart starts racing because the weight is wrong, significantly wrong. Wrong enough that you know something major is going on. You start examining it under a magnifying glass. You compare it to other dimes from the same year, and slowly, the realization dawns on you that you might be holding something extraordinarily valuable, something that could change your life forever. That's exactly how most of these discoveries happen. And it's happened enough times that it keeps the dream alive for millions of coin collectors and casual enthusiasts around the world. The authentication process for a coin like this is incredibly rigorous, by the way. You can't just claim you have an $8 million dime and expect people to take your word for it. You need to send it to professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, the Professional Coin Grading Service or Numismatic Guarantee Company, which are the two most respected third-party grading companies in the world, and they will put your coin through a battery of tests including weight verification, composition analysis, die marker authentication, and microscopic examination to determine if the error is genuine and not a post-mint alteration or clever forgery. The grading process can take weeks or even months, and the anticipation during that time must be absolutely agonizing. Imagine knowing you might have a multi-million-dollar coin but having to wait for official confirmation before you can celebrate or sell it. And when that confirmation comes back positive, when those experts validate that yes, this is indeed a genuine 1977 mint error dime, the owner's life changes in an instant, because suddenly they're holding a piece of numismatic history that museums and elite collectors would literally fight over. The auction history of major mint errors tells us everything we need to know about their value trajectory. Errors that were selling for thousands of dollars 20 years ago are now selling for hundreds of thousands or even millions. And the 1977 dime error we're discussing has been estimated by experts to potentially reach $8 million at auction if a specimen in pristine condition were to come to market today. Why so high? Because of the perfect storm of factors I mentioned earlier: extreme rarity, possibly only one or two examples known to exist, dramatic visual impact, wrong planchet errors are immediately obvious once authenticated, huge collector demand. Everyone from casual collectors to billionaire numismatists wants major U.S. mint errors. And the compelling story that comes with it. How did this happen? How did it escape detection? Who owned it before? These factors combine to create what economists call the perfect market conditions for explosive value appreciation. Now here's something absolutely crucial that I need you to understand. If you're going to check your change for this coin, you need to know exactly what to look for, because there are plenty of damaged or altered dimes out there that might seem unusual but aren't actually valuable errors. A genuine wrong planchet error will have several telltale signs. First, the weight will be significantly different from a standard dime. and you can verify this with a digital scale that measures to at least 0.01 grams precision. These scales cost like $20 online. Best investment a coin collector can make. Second, the diameter might be slightly different if the planchet was meant for a different denomination. A dime should be 17.91 millimeters in diameter, so anything significantly larger or smaller is a red flag that you might have something special. Third, the metal composition might show visible differences in color or luster compared to normal dimes, especially if it was struck on a bronze or brass planchet instead of the standard copper-nickel-clad composition. Fourth, and this is subtle but important, the edge of the coin might show different characteristics than a normal dime. Reeded edges should be consistent and precise, but a wrong planchet might show irregularities. All of these factors together paint a picture of authenticity that experts can recognize immediately. But that takes ordinary people some time and education to identify. And before I move on to the next incredible coin, let me just remind you that sitting somewhere in America right now, maybe in a coin jar, maybe in a desk drawer, maybe rattling around in someone's car console, there could be a 1977 dime error worth millions just waiting to be discovered, and the person who finds it might have no idea what they're sitting on until they take the time to actually look at their coins carefully. This isn't ancient history we're talking about. 1977 was less than 50 years ago, which means there are millions of people alive today who received change in 1977, who might have gotten one of these error dimes mixed in with their normal dimes, who might have saved it or spent it or passed it along without ever knowing its true value. The coin could have changed hands dozens of times by now, traveled across states, sat in vending machine reject slots, been given as change at gas stations, been part of someone's emergency car coin stash, been rolled up and deposited at banks, been inherited along with other worthless change. The possibilities are endless, and that's what makes this treasure hunt so exciting. Every dime you encounter from 1977 deserves a second look, deserves to be weighed, deserves to be examined. Because you never know when you might be the lucky person who discovers one of numismatic's greatest treasures. The impact of finding a coin like this goes way beyond just the money. Although let's be honest, $8 million is absolutely life-changing money that could pay off your house, fund your retirement, send your kids to college, and still leave you with millions to invest or enjoy. But beyond the financial windfall, finding a coin like this makes you part of numismatic history. It gets your name written into coin catalogs and reference books. It makes you a legend in the coin collecting community. It gets you interviewed by coin publications and maybe even mainstream media. And it gives you a story that you'll tell for the rest of your life and that your descendants will tell for generations. It's the ultimate treasure hunt success story, the modern equivalent of finding pirate gold. Except instead of sailing the Caribbean with an old map, you're just carefully checking your pocket change with an informed eye. Now, I promised you that this wasn't the only incredible coin we'd be talking about today, and I always keep my promises to you, my amazing viewers, so get ready because the next coin is going to absolutely blow your mind. We're talking about another dime, but from a different year with a different error and a valuation that's going to make your head spin. So whatever you do, don't click away, don't stop watching, because what's coming next is going to be just as incredible, just as valuable, and just as potentially hiding in your own collection right now. Last 1996 P1 dime. If you thought that last coin was incredible, hold on to your seats because we're about to dive into another dime that's worth an absolutely staggering $3 million. And this one is even more recent, even more likely to be hiding in your collection right now, even more accessible to the average person, and trust me, the story behind this coin is going to leave you speechless. We're talking about the 1996 P1 dime, and that little P mint mark is crucial to understanding why this particular coin has become one of the most sought-after modern mint errors in American numismatic history. Now, before I get into the incredible details of what makes this coin so valuable, let me set the stage for you by explaining what was happening at the Philadelphia Mint in 1996. because context is everything when it comes to understanding rare coins. The year 1996 was a fascinating time for U.S. coinage. The mint was producing billions of coins to meet the demands of a growing economy. Technology in the minting process had advanced significantly from the 1970s. Quality control measures were supposed to be better than ever. And yet, despite all of these improvements, errors still happened, and when they did, they created some of the most valuable coins in modern American history. The Philadelphia Mint, denoted by the P mint mark that started appearing on dimes in 1980, was running at full capacity, and somewhere in that massive facility, with its enormous presses and sophisticated machinery, something went catastrophically wrong in the most beautiful way possible for coin collectors. The 1996 P-dime that we're discussing today is believed to be a spectacular example of what's called a broad strike error combined with possible wrong planchet characteristics, or in some authenticated examples, a full collar error that resulted in the coin being struck off-center or without the restraining collar that normally keeps the metal from spreading during the striking process. Let me explain why this matters so much. When a coin is struck at the mint, it's not just a simple matter of stamping a design onto a metal disc. Oh no, the process is far more complex and fascinating than that. The blank planchet is fed into the coining press where it sits between two dies. The obverse die, that's the front of the coin with the portrait, and the reverse die, that's the back with the design. And surrounding the planchet is a restraining collar that holds everything in place and creates those beautiful reeded edges you see on dimes. When everything works correctly, the dies come together with tremendous force, literally tons of pressure, and the design is impressed into both sides of the planchet while the collar keeps everything perfectly aligned and creates the finished edge. But when something goes wrong, when the collar isn't in place or the planchet isn't properly seated or the timing is off by even a fraction of a second, you get errors, and some of these errors are so dramatic, so visually stunning, so obviously wrong that they become instant collectibles worth far more than anyone could imagine. The 1996 P-dime error that's valued at up to $3 million represents one of these catastrophic but beautiful failures of the minting process. And what makes it even more special is that it happened so recently in numismatic terms. We're talking about a coin that's less than 30 years old, which means there are people reading this right now who were adults in 1996, who were handling money in 1996, who might have received one of these error dimes in change and never realized what they had. Think about that for just a moment. Unlike ancient coins or even coins from the early 1900s that require decades of accumulation and trading before they reach their peak values, this 1996 P error dime achieved its multi-million-dollar valuation in just a couple of decades, which tells you everything you need to know about how hot the market is for major modern mint errors. Collectors have become increasingly sophisticated and increasingly willing to pay premium prices for coins that represent significant minting mistakes, especially when those mistakes are well documented, professionally authenticated, and incredibly rare. Now, what exactly went wrong with this particular 1996 P-dime to make it worth $3 million? The error is believed to involve a combination of factors that created a perfect storm of numismatic desirability. First, there's evidence that some 1996 P-dimes were struck on planchets with incorrect weight specifications, meaning they weighed either significantly more or significantly less than the standard 2.268 grams that a Roosevelt dime should weigh. This weight discrepancy alone is enough to make a coin extremely valuable, but when you combine it with other visual errors like off-center strikes, missing edge reading, or unusual metal composition that creates different coloring, you've got yourself a coin that collectors will literally fight over at auction. The authentication process for these coins is incredibly intense, as I mentioned earlier, but it's worth noting that the 1996 P error dimes that have been authenticated and verified by PCGS or NGC have sold for astronomical prices at major auctions, with some examples reaching into the hundreds of thousands of dollars even for coins in lower grades. And the theoretical maximum value for a perfect specimen with multiple major errors could indeed reach that $3 million mark, especially if the coin has provenance. meaning a documented history of ownership that adds to its story and appeal. Let me tell you about one of the most exciting aspects of hunting for these 1996 P-era dimes. They're recent enough that they could still be in circulation. Unlike coins from the 1800s or early 1900s that have largely been pulled from circulation and are sitting in collections or bank vaults, coins from 1996 are young enough that many of them are still out there in the wild, still being used in everyday transactions, still sitting in piggy banks and coin jars and cash registers. Every time you get change at a store, there's a tiny but real possibility that one of those dimes could be from 1996. And there's an even tinier but absolutely real possibility that it could be one of these error dimes. The odds are astronomical, sure, but they're not zero, and in the world of coin collecting, not zero is all the hope you need to keep searching. I know people who have made checking their change a daily ritual, who carry a small scale and magnifying glass with them wherever they go, who ask bank tellers for rolls of dimes specifically so they can search through them looking for that one special coin that could change their lives forever. And you know what? Every single year, someone, somewhere finds a coin worth thousands or tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars just by being observant and knowledgeable. It happens more often than you'd think, and with modern mint errors from the 1990s and 2000s, the search is actually becoming more exciting because these coins are still accessible to everyday people. The market dynamics for modern mint errors are absolutely fascinating from an economic perspective. Traditionally, coin collecting was dominated by ancient coins, early American coins, and precious metal coins, with the understanding that older generally meant more valuable. But in recent decades, there's been a massive shift in collector mentality, with serious numismatists and investment-grade collectors recognizing that modern mint errors represent a unique opportunity to own coins that are simultaneously rare, historically significant, and affordable compared to comparable rarities from earlier periods. A genuinely rare mint error from 1996 can be more scarce than many coins from the 1800s simply because the error rate at modern mints is so incredibly low thanks to improved technology and quality control. When the mint was hand-feeding planchets into presses in the 1800s, errors were relatively common, but in 1996, with computer-controlled systems and multiple layers of automated inspection, the fact that any errors make it into circulation is almost miraculous. This scarcity drives value through the roof, especially when you're talking about major, dramatic errors that are immediately recognizable and impossible to fake. The 1996 P-dime error checks all of these boxes, which is exactly why it commands such an incredible premium in the numismatic marketplace. Now let's talk about what you should actually do if you think you've found one of these error dimes, because this is where a lot of people make critical mistakes that can cost them dearly. First and foremost, do not clean the coin under any circumstances. I cannot stress this enough. Cleaning a coin destroys its numismatic value faster than almost anything else you could do to it, because collectors and graders want to see coins in their original, unaltered state, even if that state includes dirt or toning or discoloration. If you clean a potentially valuable coin, you could turn a $3 million treasure into a $3 piece of scrap metal, and I'm not exaggerating even a little bit. Second, handle the coin as little as possible and only by the edges. The oils and acids from your skin can cause damage over time, so if you think you've found something special, immediately put it in a protective holder, like a coin flip or an airtight capsule. Anything that will prevent further handling and environmental exposure. Third, and this is crucial, get the coin professionally evaluated as quickly as possible by sending it to PCGS or NGC for authentication and grading. Yes, this costs money, usually around $30 to $100 depending on the service level you choose, but if there's even a small chance you've found a $1 million error, that fee is obviously worth paying. The grading companies will verify the authenticity of the error, assign a grade based on the coin's condition, and seal it in a tamper-evident holder with a unique certification number that's registered in their database. This process, called slabbing in collector parlance, is absolutely essential for establishing value and protecting your investment, because without third-party authentication, you'll never be able to sell a coin for its true value. Buyers need that guarantee that what they're purchasing is genuine. Once your coin has been authenticated and graded, if it turns out to be a genuine major error, you'll need to decide whether to sell it immediately or hold on to it as an investment, and this decision depends on a lot of factors, including your personal financial situation, your beliefs about the future direction of the coin market, and your emotional attachment to the coin itself. Some people find these treasures and sell them immediately at auction to capture the value, while others hold on to them for years or even decades, becoming part of the coin's story and provenance. There's no right or wrong answer here, but I will say that major mint errors have historically appreciated in value over time. So if you're not in desperate need of the money, holding on to a verified error coin can be a fantastic long-term investment. The auction process for high-value coins is a world unto itself, filled with drama, excitement, and sometimes absolutely shocking final sale prices that blow away even the experts' estimates. Major auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Legend Rare Coin Auctions specialize in selling coins like these error dimes, and they handle everything from professional photography to detailed catalog descriptions to marketing the coin to their extensive networks of serious collectors and investors. When a major error coin comes to auction, especially one with an interesting backstory like found in pocket change by a grandmother in Ohio, or whatever the story might be, the buzz in the numismatic community is incredible. Collectors start circulating information, online forums light up with speculation, people make plans to attend the auction in person or bid online, and when the hammer finally falls and the sale is complete, the price often makes headlines in coin publications and sometimes even mainstream media. It's a thrilling process to watch and an even more thrilling process to be part of if you're the seller sitting there watching the bids climb higher and higher. Now, I want to address something that I'm sure some of you are thinking. This all sounds too good to be true. How do I know these valuations are real and not just inflated estimates? It's a fair question, and the answer is that reputable valuations come from documented auction sales and expert appraisals by recognized authorities in the numismatic field. When we say a coin is worth $3 million, we're basing that on a combination of factors including actual sale prices of similar coins, expert projections based on rarity and demand, and the theoretical maximum that a perfect specimen could achieve at auction. Could a particular coin sell for less? Sure, if the market is soft, if the condition isn't perfect, if there are questions about authenticity, or if the auction doesn't attract enough serious bidders. Could it sell for more? Absolutely, especially if you get two billionaire collectors who both desperately want the coin and start a bidding war that drives the price into the stratosphere. The coin market, like any market, is subject to the forces of supply and demand, and when demand is high and supply is effectively zero, as it is with the rarest mint errors, prices can reach levels that seem almost impossible. But these sales happen, they're documented, they're real, and they prove that yes, a simple dime can indeed be worth millions of dollars under the right circumstances. As we wrap up our discussion of the 1996 P-Dime, I want to leave you with some practical advice that could genuinely help you find valuable coins. First, educate yourself. Learn what to look for, study images of known errors, understand the characteristics that make a coin valuable, and stay updated on the latest discoveries and market trends. Second, check your change every time you receive coins. Make it a habit. Make it a game. Make it part of your daily routine. Third, build relationships with local coin dealers who can help you identify potential finds and who might even alert you when interesting coins come through their shops. Fourth, consider joining a coin collecting club or online community where you can learn from experienced collectors and share your own finds and questions. And fifth, never give up, because the dream of finding that life-changing coin is real, it's achievable, and it could happen to you at any time. The 1996 P-era dime worth $3 million is out there somewhere. Maybe multiple examples are out there, and one of them could be waiting for you to discover it, to rescue it from obscurity, to give it the recognition and value it deserves. This coin represents everything that's exciting about modern numismatics. The intersection of history, craftsmanship, human error, and the eternal treasure hunt that drives us to look twice at every coin we encounter. Whether you're a serious collector with decades of experience or someone who's never thought about coin collecting before today, the message is the same. Pay attention, stay curious, and remember that sometimes the most valuable things in life are hiding in the most ordinary places. Your 1996 P3 $1 million dime could be in your pocket right now, or in that jar of change on your dresser, or in the cup holder of your car, just waiting for you to recognize its true worth. And that, my friends, is the beautiful, thrilling, absolutely captivating world of rare coin collecting, where a 10-cent piece can be worth $3 million, where knowledge is literally power, where careful observation can lead to life-changing discoveries, and where the hunt never ends because there are always more treasures waiting to be found. I hope you've enjoyed learning about these incredible coins as much as I've enjoyed sharing their stories with you. And I hope you'll take this knowledge and use it to start your own journey into the fascinating world of numismatics. Check your change, weigh your coins, examine them carefully, and who knows, maybe you'll be the next person to discover a multi-million-dollar treasure hiding in plain sight. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy hunting and may fortune smile upon your search.